This is like Siberia.
What's like Siberia?
This basement's like Siberia.
Oh my god.
In the winter. With no coat. And you're covered in water.
You think you can survive in Siberia just cutting open animal carcasses and living in it?
Just go from one animal to another?
Yeah.
You run out of animals, so I don't know. You have to live with the herd.
Welcome back, guys, to another podcast.
Yes, welcome.
There's a lot of things I want to ask my friend before he goes back to China. Primarily because he's experienced some different things than me, and he's now a teacher, working as a teacher, and because he's also a good friend. These questions are like kind of towards what I think he could answer, I think. Or rather, they are the questions that I think he could elaborate on even better than me. Like, does intelligence only come with age? Like, or over time? What do you think?
I don't know. I think it's kind of both. I think some people do have a natural aptitude for learning, and some people don't. Some people probably have greater potential. Some people work hard. Some people don't work hard.
Like, what are some important topics that should be in the news or in discussion now?
I think space.
Space frontier?
Yes. And you know, incredible new technologies like extended life. I think that if the news had any kind of responsibility, I think that they would be trying to push the reality onto everyone that we are going to have artificial intelligence within our lifetimes. I don't think that people are really grasping what a change that's going to be. It's going to revolutionize the world. General artificial intelligence is definitely going to be within our lifetimes. And people need to get their shit together before then. You know, if the human race is still a worthless mess, everyone can't stop arguing and fighting, and no one can agree on basic shit, like whether the earth is round or not, and then we bring a self-thinking, self-improving artificial intelligence into the world, I mean,
it's gonna hate us.
What happens if every country has a artificial? What if they become ubiquitous? And there's thousands of different types. Because it doesn't seem like artificial intelligence is proprietary. Like, there's nothing special about it. It seems like it's getting to a point where any group of talented coders can fuck around with some AI. It's not going to be advanced yet, but who knows? 20 years from now, you might be able to just be a 15-year-old who's interested in coding, and they can make their own AI. Then what happens? So, yeah, if I could make the news care about something, I would have them care about space and getting the human race onto 2 planets. We should be a multi-planet species so that we can better guarantee our survival. And we should be focusing on life extension and AI. And AI will drive life extension. I think that we will definitely have AI in our lifetimes, and we might have immortality in our lifetimes. It's a big deal, man. Like, I think people would be acting differently if they understood that there's a serious possibility that they might have to actually live with their actions. There's like a horrible nobility about the idea of being the martyr, about dying for a cause. But what if everyone thought they might live forever? How much differently would they act? What if you were inclined to make an irresponsible decision because you're not going to live to see the consequences? Well, now what happens if you're going to be immortal? What happens if your children are going to be immortal? Are you still going to make an irresponsible decision and fuck up the world and then force your children to live in that world forever and ever? I've always thought that people have they're just very short-sighted.
So what do you think? You think AI is gonna change the market?
It's gonna change literally everything.
And what they're gonna have like automated vending machines and stuff like that to.
Vending machines are already automated. I've never seen a person inside my vending machine.
Just like ordering at McDonald's is gonna be completely automated.
First of all, McDonald's is actually a pretty difficult job. It's more likely that we won't have lawyers before we have. It's more likely that we'll replace lawyers and doctors before we replace McDonald's employees. And it's a simple equation. How much does it cost to pay lawyers and doctors?
Mm-hmm.
How difficult is it to do the doctor's job? And what does the job entail? So, like, a lot of what a doctor does is pattern recognition. A lot of what a lawyer does is what's the word? Is like remembering past cases and remembering law and understanding the law flawlessly.
Case study?
Yeah. So these are things that computers can literally do flawlessly, better than any human could ever do, and they can do them instantly, and they can do them for free. So my sister works in a hospital, and she was telling me about this guy. He's a maintenance man. He replaces, I think, door locks. He's like a locksmith. He works full time, just going around repairing all the doors in the hospital. And there's another guy who does all the lights and blah blah blah. These maintenance men will be the last people to have a job, because as we've seen with the progress of AI versus the progress of robotics, the progress of robotics is painfully slow. But the progress that AI has made has been lightning fast. And so I don't think that we'll have commodified robots, like of a high level, like a iRobot type of robots. I don't think we'll have robots like that for another generation. Not until we're old men. But I think that we'll have AI, and I mean like unbelievably intelligent, like omnipotent AI. I think we'll have that pretty soon. I give that maybe 10 years. But I don't think we'll have commodified robots for another 50 years. It's because it's just so much more difficult and expensive. Imagine if you had to fucking put a team of iRobot level quality robots into every hospital. There aren't even that many hospitals, and already that's an impossible job. Now you want them in every school, every restaurant, every business, every household. It's just, the logistics alone are unbelievable. However, AI is just software. So all it would take is one company like Google to create, or IBM, for example, Watson, to create an AI which can pattern recognize and diagnose patients more accurately than a human can, and then you've replaced a huge percentage of doctors.
From the history that they have.
Exactly. And now you can do the same thing with law, with lawyers, and yeah. But that guy replacing the light bulbs, you're already not paying him. I mean, the doctor is getting paid 10 times more than that guy, and that's why it's cost effective, ultra cost effective to replace the doctor. Ironically, it would be so much more expensive to replace the guy fixing the light bulbs, and he's not getting paid that much.
Yeah. That was a good. It's awesome. That's a good reason too.
I love the idea of humans living on more than one planet. About expanding. There's something so simple and elegant in it.
Just my drink.
Yeah. Like as a reason to exist. If the human race just accepts expansion as like a reason to exist. I mean it already is basically. Just to procreate. That's our existence.
Yeah.
But what if we just stop thinking about individuals and procreate as a species? 1 planet to 2 planets to 4 planets to 8 planets to 16. And then literally countless rotating habitats floating through space, completely self-sufficient. That's what we should be doing.
So the sole purpose of life having it be for progression of the mankind.
I don't know. But I mean, it's easy to argue day and night about other purposes of life, but it's so easy to make the argument that we're just here to procreate. Just continue the species.
What else would it be?
Exactly.
But no, and like a serious question, what would it be? I know you said you have no idea, but like, what other purposes of life can you see? Having good health, being rich, being happy.
But most of those things only exist as either a result of procreating or as a means to an
procreate.
end.
Yeah. Usually a financial issue too, I guess, right?
Now imagine a future where, we're supposed to hit an age of abundance. That's what scientists call it. And the abundance that we're referring to is energy. When the human race begins creating more energy than it can possibly use, it will begin having excess energy. And then the more excess energy we have, the less valuable energy becomes. And there's this theory that eventually solar panels will become so efficient and will become so cheap that we'll be able to that it will be able to supply the whole human race with solar power.
I saw today.
And then, let me just finish.
Yeah.
And then the technology will continue getting cheaper and more efficient. And over a certain amount of time, we'll have twice as much power, and then 4 times as much, and then 8, 16, 32, exponential.
Mm-hmm.
But the amount of energy we're using won't increase exponentially, not necessarily. And so you get into the age of abundance where energy becomes so abundant that it's essentially valueless. And then with infinite energy, or inexhaustible energy that's worth nothing, we can do so many other things. So many things that aren't possible just because of how prohibitively energy expensive they are, now are possible. Like, for example, purifying water.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of water on the planet, just all of it's salty. Almost all of it. And it's very, very very costly in energy to clean it.
So, to be or not to be? I know
Oh my God.
I know. But I have something with it to come with it.
Okay, yeah, can't wait.
And why do you think it is important to be who you want to be in a society like today?
I think it's important because we have so much choice, and well, especially us, because we've been blessed with lots of free and open, chances and possibilities and privileges. Although I'd like to avoid using that stupid word, privilege.
Yeah.
But
opportunities.
Yeah,
like you said.
we've had tremendous opportunities that most people wouldn't have.
It doesn't make it necessarily privileged. It's you took that chance to.
But
you
the
took
point
that
is
opportunity.
that allows us to have so much more choice in our lives than the average person. And I think ultimately choice is going to make a more content human being, because at the end of the day, they can't tell themselves that they were forced into that position. At the end of the day, good or bad, they chose that path.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for some people, it's better to walk a dark path voluntarily than to walk in the light and be forced there.
Yeah. Close friend of mine recently was like, "Oh man, you don't seem happy. Like, what were you, a manager and whatever in your job?" And kind of hit the nail on the head of how I was feeling at that time. It was crazy. It was during his father's whatever it was. I don't know what the word for it is. But his dad passed away, and it was like a get together for it, and he pulled me aside to even tell me that. I thought that was pretty important. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. How's he doing?
He's doing good.
Yeah.
Working
Working at that catering company still?
I think he's a manager at Mama Lucia's.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah. I always thought he was a manager, but I guess not. He was just.
No. I was working counter when I was there.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, he knows that business inside and out. So I remember when I was there, I remember thinking, wondering why he wasn't a manager, why they didn't offer him the position.
Yeah.
I think he had some issues with the boss. I think they didn't see eye to eye.
I think he was working 2 other jobs plus that one.
He was, yeah. He was working at this catering company, which is the company that he wanted to work for ultimately, because
Yeah.
they pay amazingly.
Even I know that.
Very high level stuff.
Like, he,
Very professional. But
I barely talked to him.
yeah, hey, I'm glad he's doing well. You know.
I talked to him a while. Yeah. So, what are some general hobbies that you have, and have they changed over time? You think you still have a good, what's the word? Path in life that you're following?
I think the path I have now is better than it's ever been. I think I've always wasted my time, classically,
Yeah.
with hobbies that don't go anywhere.
Uh-huh.
And now I feel like I'm more and more focusing on hobbies that I like just as much, but actually have productive, they actually produce something. At the end of the day, I have something to show for my time.
Mm-hmm. So what are some important topics, or actually,
Hobbies?
No. I mean, if you want to talk about that. What are you...
Well, like an example might be in high school, depending on what year we're referencing.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, there was a whole year there where we just played World of Warcraft every single day.
Yeah.
All day. That's all we did. It was just like that South Park episode. Except we didn't accomplish anything. But I'm not saying that time was wasted.
It definitely wasn't wasted. I feel like it wasn't wasted.
It wasn't wasted. Wasted is such a strong word. It's such an absolute.
Yeah.
However, what I would contend is that time could have been spent better. Or even just a portion of the time. I mean, we would literally play for 10 or more hours a day. And so, like, imagine if we just cut 1 hour out of that time and, let's say, exercised.
Yeah.
Or another hour out of that time and read. Or study finance. I became obsessed with finance after college. If I had become obsessed before college, I would have just had an extra 4.5 years.
Mm-hmm. I mean, thankfully I had the other side of it to tell you about. Like, yeah, we spent like 4 years, quote unquote, wasted.
No, I wouldn't say wasted.
I know, not wasted, but like
I would say used inefficiently.
Inefficiently. Okay, we'll say that. But in college, my college time, I did the same thing, but I worked out. And I did other things that were less, how do you say, recreational.
Well, let me ask you about your college time. Did you ever have a major that you made progress toward?
I had 3 majors that I was making progress towards.
Real progress.
Well, I only have 32 credits right now.
Okay. So, you need 120 bachelors. You have 32. So
I need 60 to get an AA.
Yeah, which is associate's degrees. Bachelor's is essentially meaningless today. It's not meaningless, but it's becoming more and more so.
Mm-hmm.
So within 32 credits, you tried to explore 3 different subjects. So it sounds like you didn't really go anywhere with any of them. 10 credits per subject. Was that 3 classes? That's nothing.
No, it's 2 to 3 credits per class.
It's usually 3 for like a 101 or above class that's within a legitimate field.
They're all credible.
But what I'm saying is, like, yoga is 1 credit, whereas like biology 101 is 3 credits.
No, I took I don't know why, but I have all my hard classes already taken. I have like 32 classes to take that are all electives. So what I'm going to do with that, I have no idea.
Well, I mean, my first year in college, I only did electives for the first 2 semesters, and my third semester is when I started taking art, and then I finally became an art student my third semester.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I wouldn't say that time was spent efficiently. Like, I definitely enjoyed it. It definitely was not a mistake. I don't regret it. It wasn't wasted. But I would be lying to myself. I would be delusional if I said that there was nothing better I could have done with that time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to knock it. I had amazing fun. I think I got a nice, relaxing pace out of it. Like, I can now pace myself to do other things that are more important because I know how to chill and relax when I need to.
That's good.
I definitely learned some things.
I think that's a big part of the college experience, which is one of the reasons why I often tell my Chinese students, my Chinese college students, I tell them not to become complacent. College is not the time to relax. College is the time to work even harder than you've ever worked before. Now, saying that to a Chinese student is really saying something because of how hard they work in high school. But college is the time when it's not only highly formative in terms of what age you are, but it's highly formative mentally in that college should be the time where you develop really, really powerful habits of productivity, habits of time management, especially time management. And a huge amount of the people who I saw drop out of school were simply people who couldn't face these challenges. They couldn't develop time management skills. They couldn't discipline themselves and become creatures of habit and productive creatures of habit. Because, if you're unproductive, that can become a habit as well. And I think that's a huge part of what college should be. College should force you to either fail your classes or become more productive. That's why I actually support overworking students. But I also believe that the grade you get shouldn't be so important. But then it's a double-edged sword. So,
So you think? So, is this right that you think college should be? Should it be another 4 years of schoolwork, or should it be the stepping stone towards what you're going to be working on in your career?
I think first and foremost, it should be the stepping stone.
Okay.
I think
because you're fully committing yourself into education,
into a really difficult field, a field where you really need the extra jumpstart that college gives you, a field that's incredibly deep and complex, like mathematics or engineering or something like that. However, outside of those fields, I think people going to college should be the exception, not the rule. If you're not going to college for one of those fields, then college shouldn't be looked at as something that's necessary, which is where it is in today's society in America. It's seen like if you don't have a college degree, then you don't know shit. Where it's unfortunate because the college degree is becoming more and more meaningless. It's becoming easier and easier to graduate. And soon, if we're not careful, we're going to be like China, where everyone has a degree and it means nothing because no one's allowed to fail.
What do you mean by the exception, not the
not the rule?
Yeah.
I mean that the majority of people enrolled in college should be there to get a leg up in a specific field, to get expedited training, like a STEM field, for example. The exception for the college student should be the person who's in college and not in a STEM field. Like they're there studying fucking ethics or something like that. Now, there's nothing wrong with studying ethics.
So you wouldn't be...
But the idea that all of society needs to go to college and study something as ephemeral as ethics, it's completely intangible. And it's, at the end of the day, you can argue all you want about what you think ethics should and shouldn't be and what is right and wrong. But it doesn't mean anyone's going to fucking listen to you. It doesn't mean that you're going to accomplish anything. It doesn't mean you're going to be able to feed yourself.
Okay. So you wouldn't be against somebody just going to school for general studies and getting a degree in general studies?
Well, what does general studies mean?
I mean, it's an actual major. I don't know. It's just general electives and all a touch of everything.
It sounds like it's just more high school. Just a whole bunch of general crap that you're never going to use. Prokaryote.
What's it?
Mitochondria.
Oh.
You know, all this bullshit. All this bullshit that's in my head taking up valuable space that I will never ever use. Fucking algebra. Geometry. What percentage of the population actually needs that information? I mean, really needs it. Otherwise, they can't do their job. What percentage? Who knows? I bet it's small.
Yeah, I can pull back to the last podcast we did, and what's going to be replaced by a computer and what's not.
Yeah.
Like, couldn't a computer just do all the work for you and do trigonometry
Exactly.
instead of...
Which is one of the reasons why I don't pay any attention to the scores that our students get when we're compared to other students in other countries, because they only compare hard sciences, like what scores did your students get in math and science and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that matters, considering, to a degree, of course, considering how anything that's repetitive or anything that has to do with logic or anything that has to do with pattern recognition is going to be replaced by a computer. So I don't think that our focus should necessarily be turning our children into little computers, little ineffective, glitchy computers who are constantly making mistakes and hate doing their work. I think it's much more important to have creativity, which is, I think, the only benefit of the...
Nothing.
Which is the only benefit of the American school system. You know, there's a lot of really creative kids coming out of our schools, and there's absolutely not one drop of creativity in the schools in China.
Okay.
Do you understand what I was saying?
Yeah, no, I heard you. What's your experiences besides, like, you graduated college, so what about back in college? How did you, like, how was your college experience?
It's fucking awesome. I miss college so much. God damn. I wish I could do Groundhog's Day of high school and college.
Yeah?
9th grade all the way through my senior year of college. I would do that over and over again for the rest of eternity.
Nice.
8.5 years. College was cool, man. The first year I don't remember doing really any work at all. I did some, like enough to pass my classes. I remember almost every year taking a class and being excited about it and then utterly failing, no matter how hard I try. Because, for example, I took a French class because I had to take some language.
Mm-hmm.
And it was absolute maximum effort. And by like the 4th or 5th week of the class, because we were taking a test every single week at the end of the week, and there's crazy homework, unbelievable studying. By like the 5th week, I had failed 3 of the 5 tests, weekly tests. And my teacher came to me and she's like, "You should probably drop this class. Like, you're doing really badly."
Did you drop it?
Yeah, of course. And it was 5 credits. So that semester I went from like 16 down to 11 credits.
Wow.
That semester put me way behind. I had to take a winter course after that. But yeah, man. I mean, as far as the American students go, I think I always remember thinking that people who go out and party every night were kind of shallow and irresponsible. But seeing the exact opposite in China, where none of the students do anything, they spend their whole day in their dorm. They lay in bed fucking watching TV all day, even in the weekends. They never go out. They don't go party. They don't have good social networks. They don't even know how to talk to people, strangers, because they spent the last 4 or 5 years studying all day, every day, 7 days a week. So they don't have any like social skills. And on top of that, they're enrolled in higher education programs that want them to pass, even if they're doing badly. and their work is sort of a joke, honestly. They'll be in a writing class and they'll like show me their project, and we're talking about like sophomores, juniors, seniors, and they'll have a writing project that's like one paragraph, and everyone in the class is like failing to accomplish this. I'm like, I remember writing 10-page essays for my fucking art classes. They weren't even writing classes, and my art teacher was eviscerating me on my poor writing. You know, I would get like a 13% on like a 10-page essay about art. It's like, Jesus Christ, this isn't even a writing class. So just the standards are so much higher in America, and the workload is so much higher. And then on top of the workload being higher, and it's a higher quality of work, American students are partying, and they have every temptation you can imagine at their fingertips. Sex, drugs, everything you can imagine is right there at their fingertips. And so anyone who's not strong enough to avoid those temptations fails. And I think that's a beautiful system, a beautiful natural selection process. As opposed to China, again, where, and I'm not joking, the students are locked in their dorms at night. Every dorm is segregated by sex. So there'll be a female dorm, male dorm, female dorm, male dorm. And then there's guards that won't allow anyone of the opposite sex, even family members, into the building. And then every night at like 8 p.m. or 9 p.m., the door is shut and chained and padlocked.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Every single night. And even if you live in that building, if you're one of those girls or guys who lives in that building, and that lock goes on, you gotta stay somewhere else for the night. You can't go.
Jeez.
So
what about medical conditions and stuff like that?
This is China, man. Are you kidding me?
It's really, is that bad?
What are you thinking?
Damn.
So you're talking about a situation that you're putting these students in, where not only are they pampered and treated like children, but where they're never going to be exposed to temptation, they're never going to be exposed to things that could distract them. But on top of that, you're not challenging them with their workload. They're not working hard enough. They're not working smart enough. They don't value the work they're doing. You know, I can talk all day about how irresponsible American students are, but at the end of the day, they still get up and go fucking do something with themselves, for the most part. Or at the very least, they still have goals, they have dreams, they have desires. But I don't know, man. I don't know what the right system is. All I know is that both systems are terribly broken, and both systems create ineffective people. I think it's the only reason the American students, I would say, are better is that they're more creative, and creativity is just so valuable today.
Okay.
But that's just my opinion, my unprofessional, unlicensed opinion.
Well, you heard it here, folks.
All right. You want to call this one?
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. Like, share, subscribe, comment, or don't. Whatever you want to do. This has been Brian Arman, another podcast.
Take care.
Bye-bye.